Great to see everybody. It is wonderful to be on the other side of the introduction, and now you all know who I am, so thank you very much. Today I want to talk to you about the power of personal branding. And forgive me if I do this, the air is just on me. Power of personal branding, your voice, your presence in the marketplace, who you are, who you say you are they the same thing? And we're going to give you a little bit of tactical strategy for how to present that in one of my personal favorite platforms, video. Before we begin, this is one of my favorite quotes. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." I want you always to be thinking in everything that you do, how can I make this easier? How can I make this easier on my client? How can I make this easier on myself? Complexity is not your friend. Complexity does not show your value. Complexity is your enemy, and the more complexity you have, the more chances you have to mess it up. Make it simple. Today, I'm going to do my best to make this simple for you. So who am I? First of all, quick little intro. Nobody likes talking about themselves, myself included, but we all have to get over that, especially if we're going to be on video. So I am, as Kevin mentioned, I am a luxury realtor in the South Carolina and Georgia Lowcountry. If you are unfamiliar with our area, we call it the 1 hour triangle between historic Beaufort, which is just south of Charleston, down to Savannah, Georgia, over to Hilton Head Island. So it's a beautiful, fun, gorgeous place to do business, and we are so honored to live there. As he mentioned, I have worked as a local news anchor. I've been a special reporter doing things like business reports on location, and I've also guest hosted a number of our local shows. I am, as you can see, a real estate speaker, and also I was an early adopter of video. So when it was more of an infantile sort of technology, YouTube wasn't really a big thing yet. Facebook Live wasn't even out yet. I remember when people were so terrified to hold that little phone into their face because they couldn't edit it. They couldn't, ooh, I can't do that over, it's live, there's no way. Open runway, baby, I took that all the way. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to go through, as I mentioned, brand identity and voice. I want to set the stage for you for what we're going to cover today. What does that mean exactly? What is a brand identity? What is my voice? And how do we define it, develop it, and communicate that to the marketplace? Also, identifying your target audience. If you're going to go through all of this effort to create all of this content and put time and effort and production hours into this, well, we need to know who we're talking to, because otherwise it's going to fall flat and we're just yelling into a windstorm, which doesn't do any of us any good, particularly with our schedules. Content creation, types of content, topics and formats, different places you can put things out. And by the way, you'll hear more than just from me on video today, but we made sure that everything's going to be beautifully complementary, so you'll want to pay attention to everything because you'll be able to skill stack that and layer it. Platforms, tools, and also I'm going to give you a little bit of basic gear that you can use to get started or bump up your own video presence so that you don't have to hire a videographer. You can do this yourself, and I'll show you how. How to be on camera, and that's in quotes. Reason being, there is no right way to be on camera. There is no rule other than you have to be authentic, and we'll get into that. Finally, we'll get into some things that I hear, common concerns, frequently asked questions, and then I'll leave you with some takeaways. So first of all, what is a brand? You hear the word brand, just start yelling like things that you think of when you hear the word brand. Logo, image, colors, values. Perfect. Okay, good. So, yes, all of those things are part of a brand. However, I would encourage you to just slightly reframe the way that you see the concept of brand entirely. And that is this. Your brand, any brand, is a set of associations. It is what the world associates with you, and that's assuming the world associates anything with you. You may not actually be visible. That's part of what we're going to try and fix today. Your brand is what people think and say about you when you're not in the room. Your brand is what people think and say about you when you're not in the room. And do not make the mistake of thinking that you don't have a brand just because you don't have a logo and you don't have a color scheme. You have a brand. You have a reputation. That means you have a brand. The question isn't whether you have one. The question is, how much control do you have over the one that you have? So step one, brand identity. What is your thumbprint on the world? What is your unique identity? Vision. Do you have a vision? Do you have a vision for yourself? Do you have a vision for your business? Do you have a mission statement? Show of hands, who has an actual written mission statement? Okay, congratulations, not nearly enough. Everybody needs to have a mission statement. You need to know, what is it that you're trying to accomplish here? This is an extraordinarily competitive field. Why are you here? If you can't articulate that, bump that to the top of your priority list. So then look and feel. I heard brand, I heard colors, typography, textures. All of these things feed directly into the human psyche. They all matter. Your color choice doesn't just matter because it's your favorite color. You love blue. That's great, but what does blue mean? Blue is relaxing. Blue is renewing. There's a reason that spas and bathrooms are often painted in blue. Orange. Orange is creative and it's energetic, but it's not for everybody. You have to think about what it is that you're putting out to the world. Your voice, your tone and personality. Well, are you friendly? Are you bubbly? Woo, super energetic. Or are you authoritative? Are you powerful? Are you grounded? Are you an educator? You need to know that, and you need to be consistent. Our mission statement, as an example. Our mission statement is to elevate ourselves in the profession of real estate and the practitioners within it, all of us, to the level commensurate with the trust that is placed in us and with the enormity of the risk and task placed before us. In other words, what we do matters. We need to feel that in our core. People need what we do, but we have to do it well in order for them to need us. If we always ask ourselves, what is best for the client? You hit against any obstacle, any question, anything that you can think, what should I do here? What is best for the client? 99 times out of 100, you have your North Star. You know exactly what to do. It's not a conundrum anymore. Just ask yourself that. So I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain. Open the kimono, as they say. Elevate Properties. This is our brand, and we are so thrilled to be part of, as well, the Coast team. They're incredible. We're sort of a brand within a brand. This is a word cloud. How many of you have done a word cloud? Okay, I encourage you, if you consider refreshing your brand, do a word cloud. Brain dump. Everything that you think. Don't think about it. Don't try and come up with things. Just whatever comes to mind. Have your whole team do it. Have people that know you well do it. Put it into something and say, okay, this is what I point towards. This is my thing. Dedicate everything you do to this. Refined yet natural. This is our brand. Greens, golds, whites, very natural, things that we care about. I'm very lucky because these happen to be my 3 favorite colors, but it's not why we chose them. Look and feel, and you can see that it persists throughout everything. If you received our business card, you have a copy of the picture in the middle. If you get an email from us, you get this on the bottom here. Everything is appropriate for the market, and it's appropriate for our target audience, and it suits us. Number 2, once you have your brand voice identified, create your client avatar. How many of you have a client avatar? Okay, I can see we've got our work cut out for us. Who is your client? What do they do? What do they like? What do they look like? What's their lifestyle? Where do they live? Are they moving? Are they relocating? Or are they just looking for a second, third, fourth, fifth home? Are they an investor? What are their goals? Who is your target? There are almost 8 billion people on this planet. You're going to tell me that your team can handle 8 billion transactions? Not everybody is your client. You need to dial it down. Do not be afraid to niche. The niche is your friend. Become a specialist in something. Geography, demography, whatever it is, however you define it, you need to be known for something, because if you're not known for something, you're not known for anything, and then you're not known at all. And that is the fact. Do you already have your client, or are you seeking them? This is a 2-part question. Because if you are already working with your target client, with your avatar, you look back in, let's say, the last year, and you say, God, I love my clients. I mean, this is perfect. I'm in my wheelhouse. These are my people. I'm feeling really good about this. You already have your avatar, whether or not you've identified it. All you need to do is back into it and model it based on your clientele. If you are not already working with your ideal client, I saw some hands yesterday asking about whether you want to get into luxury, but you just don't feel quite ready yet. That means that you have a target audience that you're not yet working with. Your work is cut out for you, and that's okay. But you need to ask yourself, why do you want to work in that space? And it's not just luxury, whatever space you want to work in. Why do you want to work in that space? What about that speaks to you? And make sure that it does, because once you dial this down, you better dedicate yourself or it's not going to work. Because there's somebody else in that space that is going to dedicate themselves. You need to make sure you want to be there, and you need to make sure that you're a natural fit, and there is something to that. Content. Let's get into the meat. What does your audience want? And how can you be the one to give it to them? 2 questions. What does your audience want? We've just gone over that. How can you be the person to get in front of them, other than the 1.6 million realtors out there that are also trying to give it to them? The good news is most of them are stumbling too. You can cut through the noise. Content ideas. Now, just so you know, I have some very text-heavy slides here. That's on purpose. I want you to take photos. I want you to use these as checklists. So please feel free. I'm also happy to make this slide deck available. Keyword research. Keyword research is your best friend, and it is so easy. It used to only be available to big data. It was hard to get. You had to pay for lists. You had to pay to understand. Entire corporations were dedicated to getting this information and to keeping this information for themselves and for the people that paid them atrocious amounts of money to get this information. Now, it's totally democratized. It's either free or damn near free. AnswerThePublic.com, this is one of my favorite things. It will produce for you this wheel that you see here, and I know you can't really read it. But what I did was, I went to AnswerThePublic.com and I typed in 2 words, Hilton Head, just so happens to be where I live. This is what it gave me. And I know you can't read it, but basically it says, it gave me 84 immediate, like 5 seconds later, immediate responses, and it's showing 52 of them because it couldn't fit them all. These are the how, what, when, where, why of what people are searching for relative to Hilton Head on Google and across search engines right now. It's a silver platter. What is my client looking for? Right there. You have a year's worth of content from a 30-second search. Keywords everywhere is another one of my favorites. It's especially good for YouTube, and I'm not going to go through all of these. I want to make sure that you take these back because I don't have the time to go through them. I want you to take these back, and I want you to learn a little bit about them, and also you are always welcome to contact me. Google search. Google search is easy. It's free. Literally, type in. Everybody knows autocomplete. Hilton Head, and then you don't press enter, and it'll autocomplete. What's it doing? It is using the algorithm to complete this for you based on what they think that you are most likely going to search related to Hilton Head. Now, the algorithm is perfected for you, so unless you're looking for somebody that's basically yourself, you want to be careful with this. But you can hit enter then, and it will show you most searched relative to that. Whatever your search term is, try these. I promise you, you will get multiple years of content within an hour. Content types, again, not going to read this whole thing. Real estate, what you do. You're in real estate. You're a professional realtor. You need to show the world that you are a professional. You need to show them that you are out and about. You're in houses. You're negotiating deals. You are a professional. But unless the world knows, the world doesn't know. Sounds super obvious, because it is super obvious. But it's also very true. And you have to address that. Nobody's going to do that for you. Community in the area, where you live. You're the expert, are you not? You know where you live. Do you not? You know how to connect people to where you live and where you operate. If you don't, bump that to the top of your priority list and come back to these notes later. Silver platter, this is the third bucket, what we just talked about, what they want. Literally, the internet will hand you what your client is looking for. It's like being able to open their head and peer in and say, oh, that's what they were searching for last week. It's a little creepy, but it's true. And it is massively powerful. It seems so easy. It's like, God, this is it? Yeah, this is it. The problem isn't having access to it. The problem is doing it. Execution is most people's problem. Every one of you can fix that right now. And then, of course, there's random miscellaneous behind-the-scenes days in the life. People love that stuff. So, for example, you have a first-time home buyer. When you're naming or you're searching, be specific, but not too specific. Think of it kind of like Goldilocks, right? Too hot, too cold, just right. Okay, so you might think, all right, well, my target's first-time home buyers, so buying a home. And it's not bad to start with that. You want to start with a broad brush and kind of get a feel for what people are searching for. But ultimately, okay, buying a home. Well, do you serve Bangladesh? Do you serve home buyers in New Zealand? Maybe. But if you don't, buying a home is too broad for you. Okay, what about buying your first home as a VA buyer with 3% down? Payment within 2 minutes, pay 3% down payment within 2 minutes of a Waffle House in Charlotte, North Carolina. Might be a little too specific. That person may exist, but you're looking for a needle in a haystack. What you want is a needle in a haystack, in a stack of needles. That's what you want. You want to find your needle stack because then everyone there is for you. Buying your first home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We have a little bit of a geographic location, we know who we're looking for, and we know what kind of content that person's going to want, and that's the thing we're trying to answer. Basic gear. Every one of you has one of these. May not be an iPhone, but every one of you has one of these. We can still be friends, by the way. To get started, this is all you need. And I'm not kidding you. This is a supercomputer that happens to have the ability to make phone calls. We call it a phone. This isn't a phone. This is a miniature friend that can do anything that you possibly want, including project your message to the world. Information sharing has been completely democratized. You no longer have to go on the news or on the radio or on a podcast. You can, and frankly, it's quite a bit easier than it ever used to be. But you have YouTube. you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have all of these places where you don't have a gatekeeper except for yourself. You can do this, and you have everything that you need right in your pocket. If you want to zhuzh it up a little bit, I recommend a few other things. Wireless microphone. These are super easy. $80, $100 later. Audio is one of the hardest things to correct in post-production, so it is worth investing in something like this. And if you don't feel like you want to put $100 towards it, but you have a couple people on the team, maybe in the office, that want to share this, unless you're going to be doing videos all day, every day, you don't have to carry it with you everywhere. Keep it in the office. $20 in, get a wireless mic. It will save you from a long time of post-production, particularly if you're in areas with a lot of ambient noise. A gimbal. Again, call it 150, just to be generous. Gimbal for smooth, beautiful shots, particularly pan shots, things where you're doing something a little bit more cinematic. It takes all that shake out and it really, really adds to it. And again, very, very low cash in. Lighting can be a little bit tricky, but if you're doing a lot of talking head, a lot of videos like you see on YouTube where somebody's just sort of sitting in a static location and they're talking to you, this can be really, really helpful because it helps you perfect your light no matter what lighting situation you're in. And I will get a little bit more into that later. So basic editing tools. Focus on a few things. You don't have to go wild. You are not a videographer. You are not a professional producer, okay? You don't have to do all the things you may think in your mind that you have to do. And I would guess that most of those things are kind of amorphous. You probably don't actually have a checklist in your mind. You probably are just thinking, God, this sounds like a lot. It's not, I promise. Focus on color correction, white balance. Skin tones can be a little funny depending on certain lighting conditions. Once you dial that in and you learn that, you can make it look natural. That's all you're looking to do is make it look natural. Don't get crazy. Trimming clips. For example, if you're shooting yourself, you're going to be camera on, camera off, unless you have a little gimbal button. You're going to want to trim that out so it's just nice and smooth all the way through. Adding captions and transitions. I cannot tell you how important captions are. For all those people who are sitting at their desks at work and they're on TikTok when they're supposed to be working, they are watching videos on silent. They're not going to watch your video if they cannot read what you are saying. They will skip it immediately. Captions are critical. Tools. You have a number of tools available, either free or very inexpensive. Again, I'm not going to go through them. Feel free to take a photo. What I would recommend to you is this. If you want to learn this on your own, it won't take you very long, particularly if you're relatively tech savvy. However, if you want to outsource some of the editing, go to something like Fiverr or Upwork and find a video editor. Super low cost, very, very high impact, something that you can take off of your plate immediately. I don't think everybody needs to be editing their own videos. I will tell you that right now. If you think that you have the chops and you want to just kind of dig into it and do it on your own, go for it. But I think that this is something that you can add to your arsenal, whether through a VA or otherwise, that can really help you. More advanced users, I haven't forgotten about you. If you already have a lot of video in your world, focus on other things. Focus on elevating your game. High-level montages, details. Think architectural digest. Think beautiful photography, cinematic quality. That's what you're looking for. Aerial footage, lifestyle. We practice what I call lifestyle marketing. That's what we do. Lifestyle first, everything all the time. It's never just about the house. Long form. Think hour-long videos that you can post on YouTube and then 60 pieces of content out of a single video. You probably want help with that. And tools. Drone. High-end DSLR camera, stronger editing tools. But I will tell you this, if you get to the place where you can comfortably drop 10, 15 grand on these things, you probably are at the place where you can comfortably pay for somebody who already knows how to use them and probably already has them. So keep that in mind. Tips for being on camera, and I'm almost out of time. Tips for being on camera. Okay, just a few things. I see a lot of cameras, that's good. Clear speech. Speak more slowly than you think you need to. It never sounds as slow to your audience as it sounds to you because you know what you're thinking. They do not. You are probably talking too fast. Slow it down, watch your reels, get comfortable with your cadence. It'll come to you quickly. Good lighting, very important. Think about ambient sound. Try not to shoot anything next to a highway if you can help it. High value content, again, what does your client want to hear? Not what do you think they want to hear. You don't have to guess. You have all the tools. And authenticity. Don't focus on perfection. It's like riding a bike. You will get better and better and better. You will never be perfect. I will never be perfect. No one cares if a hair's out of place. You know why? Because they're not here for your hair. They don't care. They're here for your content. No, I mean, you want to make sure you're relatively presentable, don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. You don't always have to be on camera. Some of these are just going to be home shots, interviews of other people. You do not always have to be on camera, but do not miss the opportunity to take it when it's there. You being on camera is the great value of video and connecting with your audience, because that whole know, like, trust trifecta we all hear so much about, video can do that for you. You can have 500,000 conversations all at once, and every individual person in your audience feels like they're talking directly to you. You only had that conversation one time. It is immensely powerful. So what if I'm uncomfortable on camera? And don't worry, guys, I'll blow through this. What if I'm uncomfortable on camera? Guess what? Get comfortable, right? Oh, I don't like how I look. Does that stop you from taking listing appointments? You look how you look. Do whatever it is that you need to do to get comfortable, and then do it. Because I promise you, nobody cares the way you do. What if people copy me once I put my ideas out there? They're going to. If you're any good, they're going to. The only way that this can hurt you is if you give them the playbook and then you step out of the way. Once you start, you have to commit, because if you say, this is a great idea, they're going to take it. You need to keep taking it and stay a step ahead. This sounds like a lot of work. It can be. Doesn't have to be. Tips and takeaways, just leave this up for 1 second so you guys can take a picture of it. These things matter. It's consistency. It's authenticity. It is staying set up. It is keeping your things with you. It is knowing how to use them. Get familiar. The fewer things that you have to get familiar with, the better you can be faster. And remember, nobody cares. So go forth, press record, and conquer the world. Thank you.